Hey guys, this is Mr. O'Brien here. And for this next section of the notes for topic 1, themes of life, we're going to be talking about structure and function at various levels of biological organization. So what this kind of talks about is, we can go from the smallest atom and we progressively go further and further up until eventually we get the entire biosphere. So pretty much we're talking about how things work at different levels. So how they work in atom, molecule, cell, tissue, organ, and how they progress further and further through biological study. Now, when we're talking about function, structure and function, what we're talking about is an organism's specific toolkit. Now, when we talk about toolkit, what we're referring to is a collection of structures that have evolved in ways that make a particular function possible. So if we look at these two organisms here, we have a carnivore, maybe like it looks almost like some sort of cat or something along those lines. But you notice that, or a wolf or something along those lines, that canines, what they eat is meat. So they're hunters. Now if you look, these meat eaters have canines. Now these canines are designed, they're pointed teeth, and they're used for piercing, gripping, and tearing flesh away. Now if you look at herbivores have these incisors back here. And they also have this structure up here, these almost like nail clippers. And you notice that the teeth structure is different between these two individuals. Obviously the carnivore eats meat, where the herbivore eats plants. So depending on what the animal eats and what they're particularly designed for depends, how they've evolved over time. Now look at the herbivores even further. We look at these back teeth. These are designed for grinding and to break things down, whereas our molars in the carnivore are more designed to slice and dice meat into smaller pieces to consume. So what we're going to be talking about is how the structures of certain animals relates to their function. Now think about your own teeth. All right, your own teeth, if here's a picture of it down here. What kind of foods do you think human teeth are suited for? So actually, our mouth has been evolving over time to eat a wide range of different foods. So our front teeth, let's go green here. Our front teeth here have been designed for ripping and shearing, biting pieces off, eating an apple, things along those. Whereas our canines would be right here. Our canines are designed for meat, and our back of our teeth is designed for grinding. So our mouth has evolved to eat a wide variety of different types of foods. We're omnivores. We eat both meat and plants, and our mouth kind of goes along with that. Now, when we're also talking like structure and function, we can look at the cellular level. Now, all of these different cells are from humans. We have white blood cells, which are used in, to protect our body from bacteria. We have red blood cells that transport oxygen. We have cheek cells, which is almost like an epithelial protective cell. We have sperm cells, which are used for reproduction, nerve cells for thinking, and as well as muscle cells for movement. Now, all of these cells are different, but they all come from the same organism of a human. So all of these cells are different depending on what exactly they do. So none of our cells in our body look exactly the same. And what I mean by all of our cells is our skin cells look different than our muscle cells, look different than our heart cells, look different than our lung cells. So the cells have evolved to look and function a specific way due to what actually they do. Now, our bodies are made of different cells that work together, and all of these cells work together to make a living organism. Again, they have to have their own tasks. They have to look a little different so we can perform a wide variety of tasks. Now, stem cells is the origin of all cells, and that's kind of why it's been a buzz topic of medicine. But stem cells have this remarkable potential to develop into any different or many different types of cells in the body during early life. Now, stem cells serve as sort of an internal repair system, dividing essentially without limit to replenish other cells as long as the person or animal is alive. So this is why stem cell research is such a big topic today. Now, each stem cell has the potential to remain a stem cell or become another type of cell with a more specialized function. So this cell right here can be modified to turn into anything where it is needed in the body, which is why it can be a remarkable medical tool. Now let's talk about the different levels of organization. Now, the smallest level of organization that we have is a molecule. So a molecule is a group of atoms bonded together. So for example, water. Water has oxygen and hydrogen. Now another example we have is a phospholipid. A phospholipid is a molecule and is the major component of the cell membrane. They have a polar region, they have a non-polar region, which is why it's perfect for the plasma membrane. This allows the cell membrane to function effectively as a selective barrier. So here is what that structure looks like. Hydrophilic head, hydrophobic tail. It's a molecule. As we get a little bigger, we're going into a cell. So a bunch of different molecules combine together to form a cell. And a cell is the basic unit of all living things. Now, cells that line the small intestine are specialized for the absorption of small molecules. So if you look here, these cells, all of these different little wrinkles create surface area. So the more surface area that's here, the more nutrients that molecule can absorb in our intestines. So they have folded cells membrane to increase the surface area for absorption. So different cells, different functions. Moving a little bigger, we have tissues, and the tissues are a group of cells that share a common structure and function. So skin tissue, heart tissue, muscle tissue. One function of epithelial cells, and talking about the outside covering of our body, is a barrier for invaders. So the epithelial that line the inside of the mouth is composed of many layers of cells because they are constantly knocked off when we're chewing. And if you think about it, your mouth is in constant motion, so it makes sense that it's layer upon layer, so we don't allow openings for bacteria to get in there. Next, we go to an organ, and an organ is a group of tissues working together to perform a common function. So thinking about it like this, the alveoli in our lungs. Our lungs are responsible for gas exchange. Now, these are the alveoli. Notice how they're little tiny air sacs. And what this does is it increases the gas exchange in that location. Because the major function of the lungs is to exchange gas with the bloodstream. The lungs are composed of these small sacs called alveoli that increase the surface area to diffuse gas. And finally, we have an organ system. An organ system is a group of organs that work together to perform a common task or a common function. So the function of the digestive system is to digest food. Again, this is an entire system working together. So it goes through the mouth, through the stomach, to the intestines, to the pancreas, all working together to break down that food to give the body energy. So if you notice here, starting with the smallest up here and going down to the largest down here, you notice how the function changes as it works its way down, becomes much more and more complex. Now, we can also go a little farther. Once we get to the organ system, we can go to an organism, which is an individual living thing. Now, if you want to think about it, all of these things, atoms, molecules, cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, all come together to make an organism, whether it's in animals or it's in plants. Now, when we go a little further into ecology, we'll talk about even further level of organizations that work together. But kind of the point here is structure and function are linked. Okay, so obviously these molecules make cells. The cells are responsible for doing a specific task to keep the body alive. The tissues, are a common type of cells. The organs are designed for a specific function. The organ system works all together to perform a specific task to keep the organism alive. So this is your part 3 of topic 1, themes of life, in your notes section. Hopefully this helps out. This is Mr. O'Brien, and good luck.